Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 3rd of March. My name's Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary Peer.
Gary, amazing things happening in the market,
Yes,
but something
indeed.
rather unusual happened on Saturday.
Saturday, yes.
Do you know what happened on Saturday, Gary, other than the fact that we had the most incredible auction results, selling 18 out of 21 auctions? But that is not what I'm referring to, Gary. Can you nail where I'm coming from?
Well, I think we sold 19 out of 21, Philip. I'm not sure, but we've got some stats here in a
Was
minute.
19 out of 21,
but
thank you.
but
Last correction.
I'm not sure. It was a very strong day of auctions, Phil. Is that what you're talking about?
It was,
Yep.
Gary, but no, I'm not. I'm referring to something that may well not happen again in your career.
Yeah, I'm with you now. Go on.
So on Saturday, it was the 29th of February.
Yeah.
So if you bought a new house on Saturday, the 29th of February, in 4 years' time, it would still only be 1 year old.
Is that right? That's
What a
interesting, isn't
day to have bought a brand new house.
And what a day to be born, because you never have your birthday. It's the same sort of thing. Does anybody out there know anyone born on the 29th of February? Send us their name, we'll give them some gold class tickets.
I've got some friends that were married on the 29th of February. Therefore, they had a wedding anniversary once every 4 years.
Is that
And
probably...
they used to have a party. Because it was one in every 4 year celebration.
So how many auctions would there be on the 29th of February in any period of time, you know? Because the next 29th of February may not be an auction day.
Well, that's right.
So, and I remember saying at the Robe Street auction, which you attended, I said, you'll never forget this day because you're buying a property under the hammer on the 29th of February, and who knows how ever in a lifetime that could happen.
Speaking of Robe Street, and we're going to get completely out of order, but I just want to compliment you on the auction that you did in Robe Street, because it's not very often that I get to stand as an onlooker in the crowd watching you do an auction.
And it's even rarer that you send me a compliment, so I'll take it,
and
bottle it up.
I've got to tell you,
that's the end of the show. Thank you.
What a great auction that was.
Yeah, thank you. That's just fun.
It was supercharged,
yeah, it
and
was.
I'm not sure whether we've got any footage, but the final bidder of this, this woman was the best bidder. And I've got to tell you, viewers, if you haven't bid at an auction, your heart rate's up. You kind of, you know, you're in this zone of
nervous energy,
both nervousness and a need to perform. And she just stood her ground. And she had about 10 other people bidding against her.
It's crazy.
She was just batting them off, batting them off. So if you're watching this show, I thought you were the most amazing bidder.
She was like, what was that gal good at character? Superwoman, was it? Or, you know,
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. She was like Wonder Woman. She just put up her arms and just deflected all the bullets.
She really was. She was like watching. It was like watching a what is it? The fighters, the cage fighters.
Yeah, the cage fighters.
Bang, 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 bang. She was resilient right through to the end.
We're starting to forget things, aren't we? I saw a live performance last night, and it was about someone.
At least you remembered that you saw it last night.
Well, I did, and it was about dementia. Actually, it was quite
a live performance about dementia.
Yeah, I've forgotten most of the show, but I remember it now. Anyway, it was very, very interesting.
Philip, hopefully in our lifetime, Gary, that they will find something to combat dementia.
Well, the performance was put on by someone who's actually a doctor, quite an artistic, interesting person.
Yes.
And was talking about, how it actually works. So, but anyway, look,
I'm impressed, Gary, that you've been to see some live theatre because you're not the most cultural
not
type,
into the
really,
whole culture thing, really, Phil. Not really my thing. But I am into real estate and property. You don't have to be cultured to be into property, Philip. You don't have to be cultured to enjoy the market at the moment, which is just off the charts, exciting. It's so brilliant about what's happening out there. Everybody's just buzzing.
Can I boast now, viewers? Yeah. 35 auctions out of 37, 35 sold stickers out of 37, giving us a clearance rate of 95% against an industry average of 78%.
Put up the towers, come on, let's do it.
Okay, towers are up.
Yeah.
Now the towers are down, Gary. What I want to say is to sell 35 out of 37, it's a monumental result.
And it's fun when it's hot, isn't it, Phil? Because when it's humid and hot and and someone said, take your jacket off, I said, you don't want me to do that. Definitely not. But we're 76 out of 79 for the year. Some really intense competition out there, some really heated auctions out there, Philip. And of course, it started off at Halstead Street, which was on Wednesday night. And that was great fun. And gee, I love a twilight auction. What about you?
Well, we've now just our twilight auctions, without doubt, given the fact how many we've now run, standout successful. Why you wouldn't auction on a Wednesday or Thursday night when you've got the whole evening to yourself. You're not competing with any other auctions. I think it's fantastic.
And I think the last 4 months we've had the most twilight auctions we've ever had.
Yes, we have.
And we've had some incredible success. And of course, it was unbelievable. We had, I think, 5 or 6 bidders at Halstead Street. Very competitive. Congratulations to the buyer who actually came from Hughesdale. Interesting, you know, there's buyers coming from all over the place, different areas, and they were competing against someone else from Malvern, and there was other local people and somebody else from Bentley. So, you know, it's interesting to see who's buying in Caulfield Northfield, because a lot of people say, oh, it'll only be somebody who's just in that postcode. But no, not at all, Phil, not at all. And Ward Street, Cheltenham, well, how about this property, Philip? The buyer saw it, wait for it, on Twitter. So we've now sold a twilight auction in Cheltenham. Well done to Leo. And it was tweeted, so thanks to the tweets, because 1,455,000, Aviv Samuel, great job, and Leo calling the auction.
It was a tweet by Donald Trump, wasn't it? Who's an infamous tweeter.
I loves a bit of tweet
But we're
action,
going to have to ramp up our whole tweeting around our organisation, Gary. We've got to get with the times.
We don't tweet, do we?
I did something unusual, Gary, on Sunday. It was so hot, it was 31 degrees, so not only did I have a change of shirt, but I actually had a change of jacket as well, because I found that whole, you know, you want to be at your best when you're representing an owner's or a vendor's most cherished possession.
The crowd did step back a bit from you, some of those later auctions, but
don't blame them.
But Phil, we're going back from Sunday because we want to talk about Murrumbina Road.
We do.
Well done to David Thompson.
David Thompson, another one of our incredible auctioneers, did an amazing job. We both went to see him do it.
We sure did.
And what a great job he did.
Sold.
And not only do a great job and get a great price, but the people at that auction were actually, the bidders were giving him
a bit aggressive,
giving him a bit of lip, I
don't mind
saying.
And a bit of lip. David copped it, but he stood up stoic.
He did,
and again, he didn't worry about any of that stuff, Philip. Sold it for $3,341,000 against a reserve in the high twos. Another one, Philip, that went completely unexpectedly for a whole lot more, so it was very, very exciting. We get into the auctions of Saturday, Philip. Murray Street was one of Simon Rodolnik's auctions, and that went particularly well. $1,705,000. Well done to him, Phil. And you enjoyed, of course, auction success on Saturday. But first, we get to Fitzroy Street, owned by a famous cricketer, Philip.
Yes.
And there was quite a bit of information there, but Michael Jonas sold that for $410,000. You see, Phil, we don't care.
He hit that one out of the park, Gary.
He did. He hit it for a 6, Phil. But then, of course, Robe Street, which was very, very unexpected, and copped a bit of heat even in terms of our quote price for this, because we started with the quote price, we lifted it again, but we still got it sold for so much more.
Viewers, I just want to address underquoting. There are many definitions of underquoting. I think the general public has this view, though, and
anything that sells well.
I think quite reasonably is that if there is a quote range, and it's not put on the market at the top end of that quote range or somewhere in that vicinity, then I don't regard that as underquoting. I say that's market forces taking over, which they clearly did in Robe Street, because you were on the market
in our range,
in the range, and the general public decided that it was worth a lot lot more. And our job, not argue with the general public.
And our job is to get the premium for the vendor, Philip. And the top of that range was $810. It was on the market there, Philip, and it went and ran to $1,155,000. Now I've got to say, there's 8 bidders for a property like that. What a unique and rare property! One of the biggest over-reserve results we've had, but also one of the most unique properties. And that's where it can happen. If there's something that's different, unique, and irreplaceable,
I said at the auction, while you were doing the auction, I yelled out, interjected, if you like, heckled, some would say. I said, Gary, can you smell the sea breeze? Because we're literally a couple of 100 metres away from. I did say it a few times.
Don't feel compelled to come to the auctions I'm running. You don't have to come. Say go. I've got them.
I wanted the people in the crowd to smell the sea breeze, not the sweat that was coming from your shirt.
Phil, we start off not far away from there on Sunday. We were in Talbot Avenue. We had an absolutely fantastic auction there, beautiful home, and what a great auction. And of course, I hope we've got the footage. I'm looking for that footage because it's finally happened. After opening up in business in 1986 and being in business from all of those years, from 86 to 2020, it finally happened 34 years later. A bidder during the auction has told Philip Kingston to shut up. So it's finally happened to us. So
we're going to send that person some gold class tickets.
Exactly right.
Although we do not want that sort of behaviour.
I'm encouraging it. I'm encouraging it. So shut up was the call, Phil.
Let's just quickly see that.
Yeah, let's see if it's there.
2,950. Bid's there. 2,950. That's why I have you, Gary. You're always there to keep me in check. You ride silently but strongly beside me as we cross the desert, the oasis of dealing with the general public. I hope somebody got that on film.
I did.
Okay, so thankfully, so if we got that footage, great. If not, then that looked like a bit of a silly segment, didn't it? But we did. They did say to shut up. It was a fun auction, and you did a great job, and we knocked it down, and it sold, Philip, for $3 million.
Shout out to the owners of that property. Yeah. They were the most delightful couple. Well, not only they were the most delightful couple, they still are today.
That's right. $3,150,000, Philip. Again, sold for many, many hundreds of thousands over expectation and reserve, and that was the theme last week. A lot of runaway trains. Not everything. There were many properties that sold in the range as well, but there were those ones, of course, that we make the noise about.
What about Craddock? What about Crottenhurst Avenue? Are you having a look at that as we speak to see whether that was undisclosed? Because if it is undisclosed,
it's not undisclosed.
I'm about to say, okay.
No.
Well, how ridiculous would it be if it was undisclosed? Because literally 200 people stood in the house at Crottenhurst Avenue.
Did you do it inside?
I had to ask about 5 times. For could we just get some silence so that we could run the auction?
Yes.
Anyway, we're on the market at $2.5 million there, Gary. Sold for $3 million.
Wow.
I've got to tell you though, I reckon as much as that might be over the reserve, it's great buying because it's a north-facing back garden right in the epicentre of Caulfield North. I just want to show some footage, viewers, because I'd like some feedback as whether it's yes, I should get one, or no, I shouldn't get one, because I had the best fun on what we're about to show you. This is so fun.
Well, there you go, the Uber agent, they call him now, the Uber agent. By the way, I don't know if you've had a look outside, but there's a little one of those, there's a little one right outside here. There's actually a little one of those bikes, if you can see it over there. Someone said that was, they thought that might have been yours. But anyway...
I think, you know what, I'm seriously now thinking about getting a Vespa.
Yeah.
It was such fun, Gary.
They are fun, Phil, but I think you
It's
should
dangerous,
stick in.
but fun.
And the way you drive, I think you need to stay in a large vehicle. I just think it's a lot better for everybody, and we do need you, for the auctions, Phil. 3 Tennis Grove.
How'd you go there, Gary?
Went well. Maxine was very excited about that one. Had been talking to the vendors for some time.
Yep.
Put that one on the market and sold it for $1,756,000. Buyer came from Narra-Warren, Phil.
Narra-Warren,
I always think, I always think it's interesting.
Of course, the buyer came from Narra-Warren.
Why
wouldn't
so
they?
I always think that's interesting.
We've got to spend more money in the Narra-Warren local papers.
I think our social media strategy needs to extend out there, Philip, a little bit, and everywhere in between.
You just never know where the buyer comes from, wherever the buyer is, we'll find them.
Phil, 4B Spring Road was sold for $1,850,000.
Yes,
sold before auction.
Building, Gary.
What a great looking property. We've got it up on the screen now. And it's a property that's built by a group called the Focus Building Group, Phil. And don't they do a fine job?
Well, I've got to tell you, no wonder it sold before auction. No wonder it achieved a premium price. And I'm personally going to go and have a good walk through that.
I think you should, Phil.
Because I think that does set a great standard for what's possible in these 2 townhouse developments.
Phil, before we get on to property of the week, just to wrap up our auctions, we move on to Carrington Grove. That was a very competitive auction as well.
Wow.
I'm going to presume the price is not undisclosed here, Philip, but this property was sold. The reserve, I think, was 1.6. First bid 1.650, second bid 1.8.
Then 1.650 to 1.8.
Then it was 1.8.
That's gutsy, isn't
then it was 1.810, 1.850.
Yeah.
Then it was like 1.860, 1.9.
Yeah.
1.925. Like really aggressive bidding from somebody who we know well, who when they want something, they just have a crack.
So he's a professional bidder.
Professional bidder. Sold for $2,001,000, Philip.
Right.
A very, very strong result.
$2 million.
$2 million, yep, $2 million sold for Phil. Very competitive. And the first time offered, Philip, Carrington Grove in 48 years.
48
How about
years,
that? Now,
I've got to tell you, thank you to that vendor for entrusting us with the sale of the property. But quite frankly, very ordinary behaviour to buy a house and stay there for 48 years. Well, I've got expenses. I cannot keep my yacht floating in the Mediterranean if you sell once every 48 years.
Even the mooring fees.
How's a guy going to cruise the Mediterranean in our winter if you don't sell?
And that's a general message to vendors all across Victoria, Philip.
Have some heart.
Have some heart for your agent and sell more often. Well, interestingly, Phil, how about this? It was 48 years in the same family, yet the house is not 48 years old. It was built in the 80s, I think. How do you work that out?
That's a mind spin now. I can't even go there, Gary. Can we move on?
No, because of the people who owned it pulled down the house
clearly
before,
they did, Gary. It's
and then
not
they
that
built a
hard
house.
to work
Isn't that
out.
brilliant? I thought it was so cryptic and clever,
no,
Philip.
It's not that difficult.
Okay, well, anyway, that one sold, Philip, after 48 years.
Yes.
And thank you. And the owner's daughter who sold the property was my first girlfriend, Philip. I just want to share that with you.
The owner's daughter was your first girlfriend.
When I was 7 years old at
Now,
school.
this is
We've got
getting-
footage at Ripon Lee State School across the road of me holding her hand at 7 years old.
Have
Philip,
you got a photo of that?
I don't think I've got a photo, but it was very intimate, Philip. It was very, it was wildly passionate, because when you're 7 years old and you've got your first girlfriend, you never forget that.
That's
Philip.
seriously
Yeah.
creepy. We're going to call this the creepy
What
Asian...
creepy? I think it's beautiful.
It is
You know,
creepy,
for a
Gary.
7-year little boy, little Gary,
and
with little Bella, her name was called. He thinks it's creepy. You haven't got much sentiment, have you, Phil?
It is creepy, Gary.
Okay, fair enough. Phil, Fosbury Avenue, well, that was a competitive auction too. The price, the buyers asked for the price to be undisclosed, and whilst it's actually the vendor's call, we're going to take the buyer's consideration and say, okay, we'll keep it undisclosed.
Can I just say, Gary, I hope the vendor is watching.
Yeah.
What a nice family.
I know.
What
They
a
are
really nice
delightful
family.
people,
And I've got to say, if you're watching this, not only are you nice, but you and your brother have got this... They've got this look about them. You know how some people you
look at
they've
and
got a
smile.
face and you just warm to them.
That's right.
They've both got this, like, it's kind of this quiet charisma where it's just, hi, I actually want to cross the room and talk to you.
You've got that face?
I don't think so, but my charming,
I don't think I've got that face either.
personality makes
Overcomes
up
it.
for it. Yeah.
Phil, we put the curtain down on Sunday in Bent Street in Caulfield South. Well done to Glenn Bricker and Mark Kirkham, who also was involved in that. So I did remember his second name. I was just catching my breath there, Phil. But well done in Bent Street, which did have 3 bidders. Philip sold for $2,140,000. So congratulations there to the vendor. Also been there for quite some time, as I understand. Phil, we've got
an exhausting edition.
it has, Phil.
Still going?
Got 2 things to come to cover off, and then we're out of here. The property of the week, Philip, because it's in Alder Street, Caulfield South, which is on the corner of Omar and Alder, and this is one of the most incredible developments. You've done a beautiful video, well done, by the way. People can see it. But let's talk about the builder. Let's talk about the quality of this property.
First of all, the builder, DDB Design and Building, Gary, they are well known within our local area. Do a lot of work through Caulfield, Malvern, into Brighton.
Don't they do beautiful
well
stuff?
known at the
I
very
love
top
their
end of
stuff.
the market,
I love their
and
stuff.
we've sold a number of their own personal homes before. One of the best builders out there. But what a development. I did do the tour there. We started by driving this beautiful Porsche Targa into their garage. I'd love to throw that into the sale. Maybe we will.
You drove it?
Yeah, I drove it.
God,
Yeah.
glad you didn't run into the
Vendor was
garage.
pretty gutsy with that, but I've got to tell you, the finish, the attention to detail, the architecture, the interiors, the lift that takes you seamlessly from the ground floor to the first floor, the main bedroom, the walk-in dressing room, the incredible ensuite bathroom, Gary. This is a property that will set a new standard for South Caulfield. And by the way, we've had some pretty standout projects in South Caulfield in recent times. But this one, again, another level. Congratulations to the owners who commissioned this project, but a shout out to DDB Design and LSA Architects, who are the crew that really put this together. It's an outstanding example of good urban design.
An outstanding excellence, Philip, right there at Alder Street. So make sure you get down and have a look at that property. You can speak to Darren and
And
Sally
have a
and the
chat
team.
with me about that Porsche Targa, because that's a seriously nice car, Gary.
Yeah,
Want to buy one and share it?
No.
Okay.
But thanks anyway, Philip. We both had car trouble last week, by the way. I've had
did.
two flat tyres.
Shout out to Range Rover that did send a truck that picked up my Range Rover, put it on the back, and haven't seen it since.
Fair enough. And you say I kill cars. What happened to that car?
Yeah, well, that was none of my doing. It was the electrical system, Gary. I went to hop in it and nothing worked.
That's your story sticking to it. Philip, next week we have a bit of an expose on the new legislation in residential
An
tenancy.
expose? Well, let's not call it an expose, because that's got negative connotations. But the Residential Tenancies Act is changing dramatically, and we're always at the front face of bringing you interesting information on GPTV, just not this edition.
No, this edition is a bit of a wrap from a very big weekend. And this
Are you
weekend,
tired?
No, I'm great.
Nah, I've got to tell you, I'm more tired when I have 3 auctions that pass in than when we have 37 auctions that sell.
Yeah, absolutely right. But it was a warm day. It's been an exhilarating couple of weeks.
It has.
Why don't we have this weekend off from auctions?
Do you know what, Gary?
I think we should.
Let's just
Let's
take
just do
the
it.
long weekend off.
Exactly.
Let's
Not
go. You know, I might fly to my yacht in the Mediterranean.
So you've got the yacht on the island there, not me be saying all these things. That's a big wrap.
Yours is in the Caribbean.
Oh, you're right. That's a big wrap on GPTV. Next week, Philip, we are going to be back. We've got a special guest. We're talking about the new legislation. We're talking about Pettsville in terms of the new residential tenancies, where you can have a llama in your bedroom if you want it, Philip.
A llama in your bedroom.
There you go. Big wrap on GPTV. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Philip Kingston. Have a fantastic long weekend.